quote that I have up in my cubicle at work, and when people come by and they invariably read it, well, I tell them that if they want to understand what's happening in the world around us, that they should read this quote, and if it doesn't make sense to them, they should come back once a month and read it each and every time until it does make sense. Um, so you can follow along as I read it here. Capital must protect itself in every way. Debts must be collected and loans and mortgages foreclosed as soon as possible. When through a process of law the common people have lost their homes, they will be more tractable and more easily governed by the strong arm of the law applied by the central power of leading financiers. People without homes will not quarrel with their leaders. This is well known among our principal men now engaged in forming an imperialism of capitalism to govern the world. By dividing the people, we can get them to expend their energies in fighting over questions of no importance to us except as teachers of the common herd. Now that is a quote by J.P. Morgan, and that is quite the arrogant viewpoint. But it is not inconsistent with what we see going on around us. I think that anybody who just takes a cursory look and appreciates who J.P. Morgan is, J.P. Morgan, of course, died in 1913, but not before he was able to take an instrumental role in the creation of the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve, of course, is a private bank that controls our monetary policy, that's beyond the scope of audit and regulation, and it effectively creates the boom and bust cycle. It controls the purse string of everybody. So again, somebody just coming to a newfound appreciation of that concept, that just at that stage should be a tremendous conflict of interest with the liberty of the people that are subject to those policies. Let alone the fact that you have quotes like this that establish a plan, and the plan that's coming to fruition for anybody who has eyes to see. Nevertheless, I go a step further in the sense of trying to get a better conceptualization of what's happening around us. So for instance, as we see in this chart that I've created, I'm comparing 2 years, 1964 and 2010. Just again, the purpose of this is to try and get a better understanding, an easy way from my mind at least, to grasp the complex issues that are occurring, that are happening all around us. So in these 2 years, 1964 and 2010, I'm comparing first off here the minimum wage. Minimum wage in 1964 was $1.25. Here in 2010, the minimum wage is $7.25. Now this price differential equates to $6 price differential, equates to a 480% increase. This, as is the case for the other two examples that I'm comparing, this increase is a reflection of inflation. So that price of the minimum wage went up 4.8 times, essentially. The average home price in 1964 was $13,000 about. In 2010, the average home price is about $170,000. That price variance in that time period reflects a 1,200% increase, or effectively the home price went up 12 times in the example of these figures. As for the average gallon of gas, 1964, the average gallon of gas was about a quarter to 30 cents or so. For the sake of this chart, in comparison to the current price of $2.75, that quarter and $2.75, that $2.50 difference reflects a 1,000% price increase. So the price of a gallon of gas went up 10 times in this time period. Now, what I'm trying to establish here is the premise that whereas the people who can least afford to keep their head above water, the prices that are swirling around them on different objects, homes, gas, what have you, are effectively being priced out of the market. Now, if your salary only goes up 4.8 times over a certain time period, but the price of a home goes up 12 times, you're being priced out of that market. And you're being left in the unenviable position of moral hazard, entrenched moral hazard as I see it, to, in order to survive, to go on welfare, to um, to further along this concept, as I see it, of what J.P. Morgan said himself. By dividing the people, we can get them to expend their energies in fighting over questions of no importance to us except as teachers of the common herd. You know, if you have an imperialistic mindset, if you have a belief or an idea of conquest in the world, the best way to accomplish this is, of course, by divide and conquer. It's a brilliant military technique. And I think that when we have a situation where we're impoverishing large segments of our society, yeah, there are a bunch of reasons for that, no question. But at the same time, I do see that there is some kind of design that is going forward. And so often, I think it's so easy to get caught up in this distraction and start blaming, well, it's the poor people, well, it's black people, well, it's white people, well, it's the Democrats, well, it's the Republicans. Well, I think if we take a step back and look through the reality of the situation with a broader lens, we will see that all of us are losing our rights. Now, to finalize my conceptualization, again, I stated here in the last example here of gas that in 1964 the average price was about a quarter. Now, interestingly enough, if you take that quarter that you paid in 1964, if you actually take a 1964 quarter, which had 90% content silver in it, that quarter had 0.17875 ounces of silver. You multiply that by the price today of silver, which is about $18 an ounce, you'll see that it comes out to about $3.25. The worth of that quarter is about $3.25. So the take-home message here is that the quarter that was used here in 1964, the silver content thereof can buy you a gallon of gas and more. So once again, the way you protect yourself is to arm yourself obviously with knowledge, but also to take a look and equip yourself with the things that will retain their value over time. Silver and gold does just that. So once again, this is just my general conceptualization of the situation that we are all living in. I welcome your thoughts. Thanks.